jump in about maybe how technology has changed as far as working on music. Again, since you started, I'm sure, Michael, you've gone through all kinds of stuff.
It's a problem with being old.
Yes. But maybe if either of you guys want to jump in on that, maybe talk about what you've done in the past and sort of where it's going.
Well, I started mixing on a MCI console to an Alesis HD24, and I was actually really late to mixing Pro Tools and stuff like that. I was pretty stubborn. I just thought it was cheating. So yeah, I was stupid, but it was when I finally got broken down and tried Pro Tools and how easy it was. The fact that, when you want to fly a hook in, like before when I was mixing on a console with ADAT, like if I wanted to fly a hook, I would actually have to hook a sampler up to this console, record the hook, and then play the track through, and then trigger the hook manually to get it to, lock onto the beat with the ADAT. And if anybody's ever done that, it's a pain, because you're like, oh, I think I got it. And then it slowly starts drifting off. Towards the end of the hook, just slowly starts drifting off. And you're just like, oh, you got to do it again. So it's like if you're milliseconds off, it just makes a huge difference. So once I started using Pro Tools, I was like, oh, wow. And, the fact that, just the editing in it, and people don't have to hit their doubles perfect or anything like that, and you can just, warp the audio or, use Blask audio or anything like that, is just, it's a huge change for me. And I stopped being stubborn and closed-minded basically after that, and pretty much try anything at this point. So
you weren't hip to the offset, man. If you had two machines, you could offset the second machine, man.
I guess I didn't have good help. So, but
yeah. Shoot, yeah. Do I have to go back there? Yeah, well, yeah. I think when I was doing some publishing thing back in the day, I think I only got 2 songs that I would have hired the guys on the spot, because they did their mixes on cassette, and they were phenomenal. They did it on a little 4-track cassette, and they kept bouncing tracks, and it was phenomenal. No one could do that. That's how the Beatles were done in 4 tracks and 8 tracks back in the day. So I go back to a 3340 TIAC, that's where I started my game up. And then I worked with some guys from New York that designed boards. Michael Tapes did Sound Workshop. I love Sound Workshop boards. They were really big, but they didn't cost like an EVE or an SSL, but they had that sound. But I came up through tape, 1-inch tape, 24-track tape. Well, then I had the first Sound Designer that came out, and you had to lock Sound Designer up with, you had to run the whole time code down, and it would say, okay, it's going to kind of be close there. Well, you couldn't really start it in the middle of the tape because it wouldn't be close. You have to start from the beginning, and then hopefully you got it right on the thing. Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch, I did it on 2-track, did 1/2-inch 2-track, and you made a mark here, and you made a mark here, and that when you press the button at 4, that the hook was going to drop there. So boom, there you go, and track comes up, 1, 2, 3, 4, boom, and you hope the hook was there, and you put the hook in the right spot. But then we used to cut tape, so you knew that 1/4 of an inch was 1 beat, and so you cut those out, and then you flip them, turn them around, and ta 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 ta. You did that all by tape. So when Sound Designer came out, which was the precursor to Pro Tools, when it came out, and you could chop and just all you could do was just cut and paste and normalize and reverse. That was like a godsend. We were on the ground all night long. But then we had to sync it up, so we called we called links. Links came up with a thing called a micro links, because we were doing ADATs and 2-inch 24-track together. And so microlinks, we begged microlinks to come out with that, so that we had we had that working together, and then we could link up and got word clock, got DigiDesign, Pro Tools to do, it was DigiDesign back then, before Pro Tools, so DigiDesign to do a word clock so we could sync up and then lock everything together. So I had Sound Designer 2 locked up to ADATs, locked up to 24-track, and to the Tascams, So, you had all those running at one time doing mixes. So technology, would I want to go back there and edit a vocal? Yeah. You're good right where you are. You know,
So-
'cause-
So it sounds like, so we're hearing like a lot of the advantages of like, it makes things way more convenient the way it is now with Pro Tools. Just fly a hook is like in 2 seconds. Is there anything you guys can think of as far as maybe some disadvantages? Like, is it making people lazy or people not learning
Oh, yeah.
something they should be learning?
Oh, you said the word, that's it, we can leave it there, lazy. You know,
Yeah.
because, when you had to work on the systems we did where if you wanted to erase a word in a vocal, you had to put a marker on the tape and then you had to move the 2-inch tape and then put it into erase and you could erase the thing. You know, nowadays I think it's so lazy that, you get Pro Tools sessions with people missing 4 or 5 audios because it's written all over different drives and stuff too. And then you look at their hard drive, they got 6 sessions in one session. It's like, come on, guys.
Yeah.
I mean, wake up.
Got the verses all recorded on the same section,
Oh,
4
man.
verses on the same
Yeah.
section.
And
That's
since
right.
they got the same other 6 sessions in there, when they open another session, they'll overwrite the other one.
Yeah.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, and, just going on that, it's funny, I was having a conversation with somebody yesterday about this, and it's not really a disadvantage to digital, but one of the things of digital that people don't look at is that you're not forced to make decisions. So like, when you're punching in on tape, like say on vocals, it's like you get the take and then you punch it in until you get it right and then you move on. Like with Pro Tools, you can punch in and just save 100 different playlists to go through later. So it kind of like mentally you have a different approach to it to kind of like, oh, just save everything, and it's less of, you have like less of a level of commitment than you did in the past. So I think that's just one of the things about digital that's not like the sound quality of it or anything, but just like mentally how you approach digital is like a little bit different, So I have,
It's almost like the artists aren't as confident sometimes because of that.
yeah.
Because they know they can always just go back.
Yeah, and the artists I think sometimes feel like they can rely and they're like, oh, we'll just do a
Right.
bunch of takes.
Fix
We
it
can
in the
edit
mix.
together.
Right.
Yeah, we can edit it together later, but it's not always the case, and probably would be better if they were forced maybe to actually have
Right.
good takes.
Well, and then we're stuck with, the artist doesn't want to pay an analog price. I mean, you
Yeah.
get it on a board, you have to commit to that mix because it's 2 hours to get the recall back
Yeah.
on a board. And it's nice, it's analog and it's compressed and it has that old sound, but there are some disadvantages to that too. I mean, compressed using clasp and having a compressed drum set is still a compressed drum set. Still doesn't have that dynamics in your face, so,